In 1974, something happened on the Blazing Saddle. Set that nobody talks about. The actor playing the Waco Kid disappeared after one day. What he did 4 years later still haunts Hollywood. John Wayne read the script and said 3 words that changed everything. The original title had a connection to Malcolm X that Warner Brothers buried. And there's a hidden message in the governor's name that only French historians understand. These aren't just movie trivia. These are secrets they try to keep buried. For 50 years, Blazing Saddles began with a wild idea. It was originally called Tex-X, a direct nod to Malcolm X. The man behind it, Andrew Bergman, was in his 20s and wanted to make a story about a black sheriff in an all-white Western town. That idea alone was explosive. Naming the sheriff after Malcolm X wasn't just a joke. It was a statement. He wanted to rip apart the clean, whitewashed myth of Hollywood cowboys. A black man in charge of the Old West. That flipped the whole genre upside down. Even more shocking was the fact that a major studio looked at this script seriously in the early 1970s. Films didn't deal with race like that back then, especially not through comedy. The name Tex was dropped, but that fire stayed in the final version of Blazing Saddles. Before Mel Brooks showed up, the film almost went in a completely different direction. Alan Arkin was set to direct, and the sheriff, James Earl Jones. This was long before he became the voice of Darth Vader. Jones had power and depth, but not a background in comedy. Still, he was a strong choice. But the project collapsed. Creative clashes, nervous executives, and the blunt force of the script scared everyone. It was too bold, too dangerous. So it sat on a shelf. Only when Mel Brooks came and did the story come back to life. He didn't water it down. He pushed it even further. Without that earlier failure, Blazing Saddles wouldn't exist as we know it. Mel Brooks wasn't doing well when he took the job. The producers had won him an Oscar, but it didn't make much money. His next film, The 12 Chairs, flopped hard. He was broke. He couldn't even buy a new car, and he had a baby on the way. With and bankrupt, he was ready to give up and return to TV. When he got offered Tex-X, he didn't take it because he believed in himself. He took it because he was desperate. Later, Brooks admitted, this film saved him. It let him buy a house, afford a decent dinner, and finally breathe again. Blazing Saddles turned his whole life around. Writing the script was pure chaos. Brooks didn't work alone. He brought in 4 more writers: Andrew Bergman, Richard Pryor, Norman Steinberg, and Alan Ewer. The writing room was like a bar fight. Everyone yelled, argued, and fought for their jokes to survive. Sessions went deep into the night. They lived on Chinese takeout and adrenaline. The first draft was 412 pages long. That's enough for nearly 8 hours of film. They trimmed it down to 275 pages. Still way too long, but packed with wild, rule-breaking humor. Pryor brought his sharp edge to the script, especially with the character nobody could even remember who wrote what. The fart scene around the campfire that came out of this madness. This wasn't writing. It was war. And the result was something Hollywood had never seen before. From the start, Brooks set the tone with a sign on the wall. It read, "Please do not write a polite script." That sign shaped everything. He told his team to throw all rules out. Nothing was off limits. His thinking was simple. They probably won't make it anyway, so let's go wild. And they did. They attacked racism, mocked Hollywood cliches, and dared to joke about things no one else would touch. Pryor wrote Jewish jokes. The Jewish writers wrote black jokes. Nobody stayed in a lane. This mix gave the film its fearless voice. It didn't just make fun of Westerns. It tore them apart and built something new from the wreckage. Richard Pryor was supposed to be the star. He was Brooks's top choice for Sheriff Bart, but Warner Brothers refused. They said Pryor's drug issues and recent jail time made him uninsurable. Brooks was furious. He thought about walking away, but Pryor, surprisingly calm, told him not to. He said, "We'll find the right guy. Keep going." Pryor didn't disappear, though. He joined the writing team and shaped the film's tone. From behind the scenes, Cleveland Little got the lead role. Brooks later said, "They got lucky with Little, but you can't help wondering what Pryor's performance would have looked like, especially since he and Gene Wilder became a legendary comedy duo just 2 years later." And then came the biggest surprise of all. Mel Brooks wanted John Wayne to play the Waco Kid. That's right, the John Wayne. He was still one of the biggest stars in the world. Brooks gave him the script. Wayne read it overnight and said he laughed his ass off, but he turned it down. He said it was too dirty for his image. He promised he'd be first in line to see it, though. Just imagine it. The straightest, most serious cowboy of all time playing a drunken wreck in a film that mocks his entire genre. It didn't happen, but it almost did. After Wayne said no, Brooks got obsessed with casting Dan Daly Alley. Daly wasn't a Western guy. He was known for musicals, but he could ride a horse better than almost anyone. Brooks thought he'd be perfect. He even tracked him down in Hawaii. Daly loved the script, but turned it down, too. His eyes were failing. He said he was almost blind and couldn't safely ride anymore. Brooks was crushed. He kept chasing the perfect actor, but fate had other plans. Then came the worst casting disaster of all. Brooks hired Gig Young. Young had won an Oscar and had the weary look Brooks wanted, but Young had a serious alcohol problem. On the first day of filming, during the jail cell scene, he started shaking. Brooks thought he was acting until green bile came out of his mouth. He was rushed to the hospital. Brooks said later, "If you want an alcoholic, don't cast an alcoholic." Young never came back. He later sued Warner Brothers. The film had lost its Waco Kid again. That's when Gene Wilder stepped in. Brooks hadn't considered him for the Waco Kid. He thought Wilder was too young, too fresh. He'd offered Wilder the villain role earlier, but Wilder said no. Now desperate, Brooks called him crying. Wilder had just finished working with Brooks on The Producers. He got on a plane and flew straight to LA. When he tried on the costume, it fit like magic. That Monday, he was already on set. His quiet charm and offbeat timing turned the Waco Kid into something unforgettable, and his chemistry with Clean Little became the soul of the film. Out of all the chaos, that last-minute casting saved everything.